Hi, I'm Elmer. Welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. Of course, we're back in the shop today. It's a little bit warmer weather than what we've been having. And we're starting actually our first part of our workbench build today. So told you we're going to kick it off. Past month or so, we have not had conducive weather to be out in the shop. Actually, you can see about a little bit of the steam coming off my breath. It's still cold here. I got the heater going, so it should warm up. Today, I've actually been joining the first edge of the board, this 2x6 for our workbench leg. This is our setup block. It's basically, as a machinist, we call it a 1-2-3 block, but we're making it ourselves so we can have repetitive and easy cuts. And also I can show you some of the details on how to make and plan out these legs without going into full detail on another video. So basically what I've done is I've actually taken my joiner here and actually have jointed the edge of this board square. I've also jointed it to where it has a nice sharp edge. This is crucial, especially when you're making measurements where we're going to be using drawboard joinery on this leg. My next couple steps is I'm actually going to take it over to the table saw here. I'm actually going to rip this edge off and cut it down to what the book calls for a 3¼ inch or a 3-inch wide leg. The reason we're using a 2x6 is because it's going to give us the ability to make sure that the knots stay tight. We can get rid of edge knots like this that are going to be conducive, dangerous, or even throw our measurements off. And of course, this block is going to give us the repetibility of being able to cut, mark, cut, and repeat, giving us a steady consistency in our legs and joinery. So with that, let's move over to the table saw so I can actually kind of rip this leg off, the edge of this leg off, and we'll actually get into the detail of making the rest of this leg. Okay, so we got that done. I took it over the radial arm saw and I actually wound up cutting it off, squaring up one end. Kind of want to show you guys a little reason why you want to cut out the knots on the end of this board. As you can see, everything looks perfectly normal. Everything looks kind of just like a piece of cutoff. But let me show you guys. That is why you do not cut or use knots in the edge of boards. This would have been a workbench leg. You could have been hand planing on it. You could have been working on it. You could have sat in a chair and this would have broke and your project would have been ruined. So that's one of the reasons why we throw these out, cut these off the edge of the thing, the workbench. So kind of going to go over a little bit what we've done. So basically we've squared it and joined it up to 3 inches, which is what the book here calls for. And of course we've marked out a 1/2 inch dado, a 1/2 inch deep dado, 5 inches wide, and 7 inches from the bottom of the workbench leg. This gives us the ability to make consistent placements, consistency with everything. Now what you want to do is when you're wanting to cut this, you do not want to cut to these lines. So what you basically want to do is you want to sneak up on the line and then use a chisel or something else to finish it, especially the depth end of it. This here you could cut with the blade. It'll give you a nice square edge. And of course, if you like me and you don't have a plow cutter set up here in your table saw, you can always use your circular saw. This is how I originally did my first workbench. It held up. From right here, it's still in the garage, it's still being used. So basically, this here circular saw set with the depth of a 1/2 inch and using a combination square or a framing square like I have to maintain cutting this groove here. So I'm just going to set that back over here, set this up here for right now. But that's some of the things that you can do. Now, basically, I'm going to kind of see if you can see this on camera. But As you can see, each one of these legs will form a 3-inch long leg. So it's basically 1.5 by 3 inches of what your finished dimensions of this leg setup block is. I recommend doing a setup block, doing a test setup, making sure your tools are right before each step. Now I'm doing this here to show you guys how to do the setup and everything on the bench, but honestly, you're going to do all 8 halves of the legs at the joiner. You're going to do them at the table saw. You're going to take them back over to the ray arm saw, and then of course you're going to cut each groove to save time in each one of those. I'm just doing this to show you the setup process to kind of minimize the video's length and of course to give you a little bit more detail and everything. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, as you can see that we managed to get it on. I forgot to make a mention to make a measurement for your dado blade. You'll want to set it at 3/4 inch wide. Most dados only go to that anyhow, so you just want to use the maximum width to give you the maximum amount of being able to take as much of the wood as possible and do it safely. Now that we've got everything done, I forgot to also mention, use a backer board. Just use some piece of scrap like I did here. I actually took and rejointed this, cut this a little bit larger so I could actually have a piece of this that would match and give me the most accurate. If you don't, you can wind up with a little tear out like this. Now I did this intentionally to kind of show you why you need a backer board. With dado blades cross cutting, it will give you this tear out that you see on this board here. That's something that you want to avoid. So using a backer board, it actually tears out on the backer board instead of actually on the workpiece. So just a little tip and trick there that makes sure you're doing that. The other thing is you could set this up in the radial arm saw. It may be a little bit more conducive to actually working for you. When we actually do the legs, that's what we're going to do. We're going to set this dado blade up here in our table saw our radial arm saw behind me, and actually make the cuts. Now, with the dado blade, this is the reason I told you not to take the line, because you're going to want to work your way down to it. You're going to use a regular 1-inch wide chisel to do this. And basically what you're seeing here is this, I'm going to use this here, this term, the grooves from the blades. If you look at it from the side here, and this is the side opposite of our line, you'll see you have a bunch of ups and downs, up and downs. Now this will be hidden by the shoulder mortise of the actual rail going in, but yet do we really want that to be visible? Not really. So one of the things I just like to do is just take my chisel with the bevel down and just gently go along here and pare some of these lines down. I don't have it clamped or anything. I'm just kind of trying to show you basically what to do. But you want to see, as you can see, I'm just pulling all the high ridges off, and you don't want to take it, you want to just take it down to your line. So basically that's how you want to do it, something like that. Of course, got to sharpen my chisels too. That's one of the things that, being a carpenter, they get dull, they get used. This one's actually out of my tool belt. I just grabbed it this morning to kind of show you guys, demonstrate what you could do with this workbench leg. Our next video, we're going to be actually putting the legs together, cutting them, finishing them, and setting them to be able to be put together. So with that, I'm going to say stay healthy, stay blessed. It feels good to be back in the workshop, and I'll see you in the next video.